Artifact number 22. Triangular in shape and subtle in height, the slight gesture of a bump causes the direct light of the fluorescence above to cast the darkest green-blue shadow underneath this raised surface. Rounded edges not quite parallel to the ground, more twisted and elongated, not quite an isosceles, but close. As if it were to be rounded into a kernel of popcorn dropped on the floor, producing a similar sheen if you slowly shift your head back and forth. The smell of butter pre-coated on its brown, smooth surface, associated to cauliflower rice, which has little smell but much texture, who shows resilience to being pushed or dented until steamed or baked or fried and aromatic. Where white beans mashed together, such as navy or butter, producing a sort of mushy conglomeration of paste, clay, which can be molded to have beautiful raised bumpy textures as little pieces of skin remain in the pulp. Can you see the sourdough rising, the bacteria eating away at the sugar, feeding itself and producing gases, those gases starting to form all those multiplying bubbles that when baked create the porous holy bread that smells of yeasty heaven and springs back at the lightest touch? That when slathered with warm butter gets encapsulated by those holes and contains the flavors until you are ready to consume it? Or even jam, or cheese, or fruit, or eggs. Or perhaps the pastry dough that lines your favorite pies, first pre-baked, procuring little raised bumps where the air tried to escape, where they actually add to the texture of the crust. Instead of homogeneous texture, some are more baked than others, harder, softer, less or more crispy. The small droplets of grease that sweat from the crust and collect at the lowest point of your oven, which causes the smell of oils and butters to diffuse in the air. They disappear when the filling is included, fading underneath, forgotten but not gone. A little mistake peeping out from under a layer of cheese, like the crisp edge of lasagna uncovered by the red marinara and layers of mozzarella and ricotta. Or the multiplied version of this, so many beautiful protrusions on a white pizza, where white artichoke hearts turned upside down, white bella mushrooms with the rounded pieces of the cap left over, the little squares of white onions and creamy chunks of Alfredo sauce, all coated in shredded cheese, perhaps hit with some salt. The dough, too, baked to perfection, where just hardening but hasn't turned golden yet, almost blending with its palette of white hues and values. Underneath there's probably a beautiful crust forming, hidden from plain sight. To smell the warm cheese as it melts off the slice in your hand, the little cut-up toppings becoming more and more exposed, until they too fall off into a warm, sloppy puddle, hardening as the air comes to cool it, pushing the greasy and addicting smells into your nostrils. Watch closely as you move your head back and forth. You can see the white chocolate chip that sits embedded and slightly melted in the white chocolate macadamia cookie, warmed from the microwave, transform into a piece of saltwater taffy, so chewy and yet too soft to actually chew. It eventually will melt away in the heat of your mouth, as the chocolate chip will too, and the lump of blue cheese left in its dressing, and the marshmallows in your s'mores, and every flavor is pushed deeper and deeper into your taste buds. Hold it. Savor it. Don't let it go. Now consider this over a cup of coffee.